The Scriptures unravel the unique purpose for Israel. Israel is unique. How do you explain the resurgence of their language, their going back to their land, and its current prophetic reappearance? They're God's chosen people for the following purpose: to give witness to the one true God, Deuteronomy 6:4. To illustrate to the nations the blessedness of serving the true God, Deuteronomy 33. To receive, preserve, and transmit the Scriptures, Deuteronomy 4. And to be the human channel for the Messiah, Genesis 3:15, etc., etc. According to the prophets, Israel, regathered from all nations, restored to her own land and converted, is yet to have her greatest exaltation and glory, Zechariah, Samuel, etc. Now, here's a long list showing prophecy fulfilled in relation to Israel. And the one who wrote this is the late Dr. Noah Hutchings, head of Southwest Radio Ministries. The fig tree, more about Jerusalem, the fig tree, buying back the land. It states specifically that they would, and they did. It wasn't given to them. They had to buy it. In the book I'll publish all this. Israel to be reborn in a single day, declaring the sovereignty. Reborn is the word. The order of the return, the exact place they were to come from on the globe, the direct direction, is 100% specific. They were to come from one direction to another, from another, and then another, and another. 6.5 million Jews came in specifically those directions. How can a book predict that 2,000 years in advance? In some instances, 2,700 years in advance. How can it do it? It looks like this book is self-authenticating. You just live long enough and read long enough and observe long enough. A pure language, Hebrew is spoken again. It wasn't spoken except by a few Yiddish friends all of those centuries. A pure language. I'm hurrying deliberately. The shekel being used again in currency. The shekel is used in Israel. I'll need to get some in 2 months. The cities of Israel renamed by their original biblical names, even though they had been named by pagan societies errantly. The cities of exception were Tyre and Sidon, also mentioned. Tremendous prophecy. From desolation to productivity, it's the most prosperous per capita and per surface land on the earth. Most desolate, barren place. Irrigation, that is specified. The plowman. The trees of Israel are specified, and they're now growing in Israel again. Neokedimim is a place where some of those were introduced, and now they're all over the land. The vultures of Israel, described in Scripture from Zion, and the wild animal life, specifically named in the Bible, and they're roaming through the canyons and hills. The increased rainfall until Truman's day, it rarely ever rained in Israel. He planted the trees and started to rain on them. Isn't that astounding? But that's true. And the Palestinians, just a few miles away, said, "It never rains on us." Well, plant a few trees. And there is an ecological exchange of atmospheric conditions that encourages rainfall. Plant a tree. It's going to take a lot of trees. A few million, as Truman found. Jerusalem, an international problem? Oh, it is until this very hour, and that's spelled out. Class, I'm just trying to tell you, there's a book that is alive and that self-authenticates. It's not just an incidental novel to read. Israel to become a democracy, it's the only democracy in the Middle East, but that's described in Scriptures in Hosea and Zechariah. The last wars of Israel, how they would be fought, and they were fought miraculously. The Yom Kippur War, the Diaspora, that is the Jews being driven out of their land and then returning after 2,000 years. Restoration of temple worship and the means to do it. The means is already in place in Jerusalem. Comprehensive peace treaty. They're always talking about peace. They're going to need peace, and peace treaty will come, but it'll be an errant treaty. And the Scripture declares that the closed eastern gate, and it'll be closed until the Messiah comes through it. The Romans, of course, tore it down 70 AD. The Dead Sea And it is in prophecy, and there will be a time when you'll be able to fish in the Dead Sea. Fresh water will flow from Jerusalem through the aqueducts. The Palestinians and the problems they're described in Scripture. The Edomites, the Jewish unbelief, and Israel is a secular nation. I'm almost finished. But Israel is forever, and Jerusalem is the eternal capital. The Scriptures explain current events in the light of Christ's return.